seen some hacks there's some typical Unreal hacks that have been out there, and there's probably some. I'm sure that there's some. There always is on the PC. There's some hacks, so we just keep letting Valve know with VAC that these hacks exist, and to keep an eye out for it, and and as we continually patch the game, we will look to see if there's anything we can combat. But so it's always hard to find. We're gonna make sure we get some good videos of what's a real hack is happening, so we can combat it. But of course, we're always looking out for that very heavily.
But you're saying there's no way for you to let's say kick a hacker off the leaderboard?
We
couldn't,
like a vote
right.
kick, possibly.
We couldn't we couldn't clear the leaderboard, unfortunately.
All right.
But I'm not sure. Hayden might know if we're able to actually get a stat removed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking because, we have guys in RSC asking questions and stuff, obviously, and one of them mentioned that, or asked if there was going to be anything done against the leaderboard hackers, because right now many of the guys on top are clearly hackers, and even some of them used their hacking websites as nicknames. So he was just wanting to know if you guys were going to do anything about that.
We have several things in the work to combat hacking in its various forms, as well as other kinds of abuse.
Alright. Good to know.
Indeed, it's something we take very seriously.
Do you remember why we couldn't reset the leaderboard?
You were able to reset parts of the leaderboard, but the user-specific stats, which are partially used to write out leaderboard entries, could not be reset, since they're per player as opposed to a global leaderboard.
Ah, got it.
Alright. Another question from one of the viewers, or quite a lot of them actually, is that many have said that many have mentioned that the game feels like a mix of Battlefield and Call of Duty. And they want to know if your aim is to appeal to any of these specific titles, or the audience from any of these specific titles, if you're simply just trying to focus on a wider audience, because many believe that the infantry feel of the game feels a lot like Call of Duty, while the vehicles are obviously included from games such as Battlefield. Don't know if you can answer that.
So on the design side, we didn't look at any particular game and said, well, you don't want a bit of this, I want a bit of that. We've done a lot of military games all the way back to Desert Combat, and so we've been seeing the different ranges of players, and obviously the console players was a different range of players than the PC players. So I would say what we tried to do is get a good mix of what the PC players wanted and a bit more of mass. There's a bit of a difference between even mass market players versus even the hardcore players. So we wanted to make sure we had a good player count. So that meant we had to have good strategy, and you also had to have some things where it was easily accessible. So I think the main strategy there was to have a game that can scale very well to hardcore, but also be initially easily accessible. And that's it's a pretty hard challenge.
Yeah,
and I think we did a really good job in this game, where we kept it where the fighting was always intense and packed, but you still had a little bit of vehicle play. Because we noticed it a lot that even though we've had quite a bit of big maps in the past on previous projects, that a lot of the maps that were still favored were the medium-sized maps that had good infantry play and good vehicle play. So we really tried to play that up on Homefront, where you've always had really good, fast-paced action, but you also had the fun vehicle play of a helicopter or a tank, and I think it's a good mix. It's not trying to be a Call of Duty or trying to be a Battlefield. It's trying to be this kind of fast-paced, fun, expressive multiplayer game.
All right. Someone mentioned earlier, there's one of the viewers who commented a lot on the spectator mode and how the first and the third person appeared to be a bit laggy when spectating right now. I think it was that you, Hayden, who addressed that issue when we asked you just before. And if you could maybe address it again for the viewers.
Sure. For lack efficiency reasons, we don't replicate all of the final player input movements, which is what you'll primarily see in first person. Instead, we more replicate rough direction of where the player is looking. This unfortunately affects the demo replays and the spectator mode, but we're looking at other ways of improving that currently.
Alright, so it is definitely something that's going to be fixed. That's one of the goals for the future.
That is correct.
Yeah, that will make Stoner and I happy as well.
Yes.
We're only used to streaming in third person, or most of the time from some of the games we've been streaming, so it's going to be fun to see some of the first person again.
Really enjoying the first person. Like you say, it's a little bit laggy. The game, if you're watching, guys, the game isn't laggy at all when you're playing. It's a really nice, smooth. When you're seeing it in third person, it does look a bit laggy. Down to these stars.
Yeah, because when you're playing, it definitely feels like, as you mentioned, Frank, a PC game. It feels
Very
like
smooth.
a PC game.
Definitely.
You know, some of the tiles I've tried lately, it feels kind of heavy when you're running around. You know, it feels like you're a 300-pound soldier when you're trying to jump, and I don't believe gamers want that. So
Feels
that's really
campers.
nice.
That's the word. You can say it. You can say
Consoleized.
consoleized.
I guess that's a real word.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, especially with Combat Studios. That's where they were really great. Is you know, they brought in some very hardcore FPS players into our matches, and we played every single day, and we you know, for months, and we recorded stats of the gameplay. So there'd be bar charts of, you know, how much recoil and how much damage, and you know, if something was, and actually we even did data mining, so we can find out that, well, obviously these guys are killing each other with the helicopter, so we need to make the helicopter more expensive. You know, so it really helped us quite a bit on balancing the game. Now, of course, we played for months, and you know, we're seeing people now using it slightly different in some cases, but that's known to happen. I think we did pretty good out of the gate, and one thing we're looking at, of course, is the snipers. We felt that, you know, at first we were like, well, maybe we should give it a little time, because, you know, we were doing that too, and then as we started getting better in the game, we realized that that wasn't the best way to, you know, to win the match, and the game changed over time. So I think you're seeing that, as any game, you see this the initial, like, you know, either it's grenade lobbing, or if it's noob tubes, or usually that goes away after you know, either some gameplay, or, you know, maybe have to do a little bit of patching. We are looking at ways to make it a little less effective, though, but still be fun.
Yeah, all right. But have you thought about actually using that method still once now that the game is out, you know, to let's say someone goes on the forums, starts complaining about a weapon being overpowered, but in reality the weapon really isn't overpowered, it's just that this one guy is much better at screaming than the rest of the people on the forums. I don't know if you could go in and look at the stats maybe and see, alright, we got 10,000 people actually using this gun and they're just killing it, raping it up with it, so maybe there's something to it. Is there a way for you guys to do that now, or?
Yeah, right now we're watching everything very heavily to see, you know, what weapons are being used, and you know, where people complain the most as far as weapon balance, because we know, you know, this stuff changes pretty rapidly. You'll get one day people screaming about, you know, how powerful a submachine gun is, for example, and then, you know, we realize, well, should we go change that? But we'll get a lot more data first before we do anything. But yeah, we're definitely watching everything very closely.
All right. Just another quick question here from one of the viewers. He really like to know if you guys are gonna do anything else to the squad system as it is right now. If you're gonna add a role of a squad leader, or if you're gonna make it possible to spawn on some of the other squad members for the future, or for the future patches, if you guys have even discussed it. You mentioned earlier that you guys, or I think that was actually Edmar who mentioned that you guys hadn't really looked into that yet, but I don't know if you can say anything about it.
Well, and I'm not trying to usurp Edmar on this, we have actually looked at that quite a bit, and in fact you can spawn in other players' vehicles at the moment. That was added in.
Yes,
that was
I
not
heard
in
that
the,
as well.
the original incarnation. So, I mean, somebody's else got a helo on. Instead of having to spawn, have the guy try to land somewhere, God forbid. You can spawn directly into the helo. Same thing with the other vehicles on the maps. As far as the squad leaders, that hasn't been implemented yet. It's something definitely THQ has looked at and is looking at.
Well, I'm going to let Hayden answer some more, but there is some weighting towards if you're in a spawn. So it's not on the leader, but it actually weights the points. So basically, it's kind of a neat spawn system where wherever people are, it kind of weights the spawn points to where the people are. But if you have a squad, it actually adds that into the weighting. But I believe Hayden has some more he'd like to talk about.
Okay.
Currently, we are working on weighting the spawn points much more aggressively towards the location of your squad members. Currently, we do have some other things in the game, like you may notice that if you are friends with people who are currently on your side, you'll automatically be assigned to their squad. Similarly, for vehicles, if your squad mates have a vehicle, you'll be biased towards spawning in that vehicle first if you do spawn in a team vehicle, which is quite similar to the spawn on squad functionality. As far as the actual spawn on squad functionality goes, we're still looking into that one a bit more carefully, since that does have balancing implications, but it is a possibility.
Alright. So, because, I mean, obviously this was a clan player asking that question because they want to be able to spawn on each other during games and stuff. But you will make it possible. Let's say these guys go into a clan match and they make a squad. Would there be an option for them to spawn elsewhere than the actual spawns in the future? Maybe just nearby their teammates, something like that?
Well, it always spawns you by your teammates. That's a inherent feature that we have.
All right, I was not aware of that. I'm sorry then.
Yeah, no. Well, it's because it's not obvious, but we pick the spawn points near the players, and if you're in a squad, it weights it a little more towards the squad. And then Hayden's talking about potentially even doing it more so. The other thing too. So the other thing too is that the squads is that we allow the whole team to be on a squad, right? So that would be a problem if we, if we allowed everybody to spawn on top of each other. Then it would just leapfrog the entire map. Yeah. But we'll at least make it, much tighter to the squad. I think that's something we can do.
All right.
With the spawning currently, it's most apparent in the TDM modes, where the constant the battle play rotates around the map, and what you'll see is you'll be spawning in the vicinity of your comrades versus out there alone all by yourself, where you're going to get smoked. So that is already implemented.
All right, that's good to know because I was not aware of that at all, honestly. Now that we're at the spawn times and the spawn points and all that, one guy wanted to know if there would be a future possibility for maybe modifying the spawn times in the server tools, maybe.
That
so
is something
let's say in clan matches you would be able to add a bit of spawn time so there's not a constant wave of attackers coming towards you.
That is something we can definitely do. It is currently on our list. Okay,
that's good to know. And I think there's already a round timer in there, right, Hayden? Limit, like a time limit per round. That's possible to add right now. Yes. Okay.
That is already in there. Yeah.
Another question that's been asked by a lot of people is that if it will be possible to create unranked servers in the future for locked servers, let's say passworded servers, if it's possible to turn the ranking system off in any way, to have, let's say, a bit more of a fair fight, so no one guy's got all the unlocks and one doesn't have anything at all to do with.
Yeah, it's definitely another one that's high on my list of looking at the best way to do it. I still have some questions out to some of the competitive players about, what would they prefer if they preferred everyone is fully unlocked or everyone's at level 1. I would assume everything was unlocked, but I don't want to make the assumption.
I think. Oh, I'm just going to interrupt. I think the main wish would be everything unlocked, actually, because that way you can pick and choose whatever you want instead of having to play with nothing. But I guess I can't answer for the whole community, though.
Yep, that's something. But I'll just let you know. So yes, that's something that is high on my list of things to provide. 'Cause I think it is a good way to play. Like I said, friends that are